Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Quaternity Live. I am Priyanka, and some of y'all may know me, some of y'all may not. It's been a hot second since I've been on here, but I'm really, really excited to be back because we have the most special guest I think he's the most special guest ever. And we're back with Shreyas, my brother, as so many of you also know.
Hey everyone, excited to be back for a live. It's been a second, I think, since the last one. So very excited to be back.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I haven't been on here in a hot second. I think you actually have me beat on how long it's been since we've seen you. So I think it's
Interesting,
a sign that you need to
interesting.
come on more, honestly.
I think I've done maybe three this year. Honestly, I would, yeah, it would be nice for if I were able to get everything in order to be able to do maybe one a month. I think that would be amazing. But nonetheless, we're here.
So
So
y'all heard it here first. This is what Shreyas wants, and I'm going to be holding him to this. So when he comes back
I
later and complains about me, he doesn't get to do that anymore. Just putting that out there.
fair
Um,
enough, fair enough.
But yeah, no. So like we were saying, Shreyas, it's been a hot sec since you've been here because I think the last time that you and I did a live like this, where it was just us together, was when we were introducing the new features for Quaternity. And one of the big reasons we wanted to bring you back was because we sort of heard through the grapevine that there's been a lot that's been sort of going on behind the scenes, and we've been seeing a lot of cool stuff on Quaternity's Instagram, and so we wanted to get the inside scoop on what's been happening. So that's why you're here.
Yeah, I mean, I think with pushing new stuff out, I mean, we pushed a bunch of stuff out the last time, right? There was the ratings, there was the study board. We had a lot of features with like replaying games and things like that. Uh, and I think that the key thing when you release a bunch of features to an active community is that you actually want to see how people get on with using them, right? To figure out what the sort of right next steps are. And so
Mhm.
it's been awesome over the last few months to sort of see people, you know, start to use these features in many cases, even in ways that we did not initially sort of envision ourselves, right? I mean that's the best and so like the puzzle room team, for example, has been using the study board extensively to sort of create their puzzles and stuff like that. I know the rating has been uh things that a few people have really been fighting to keep up, and it's annoying when you sort of lose a game or draw a game that you don't want to, which is exactly what the job of the rating is. I think there are a couple folks who are in the effort to get their rating better have used the like looking at historical games, that feature significantly. And I think they find like things like the autoplay and so on to be quite convenient. So anyway, like I think getting that feedback back has been a key element on the platform side. And of course, the other big thing that we've been focusing on is we've been trying to uh, start having kids play specifically through a school program in India, and that's something which I've been helping with sort of Madhu, who's also on the team, who some of you know. And so those are like two of the like key things that have been happening over the last few months.
I'm very excited to hear more about that. And I think that a good way to sort of get going on this is we sort of have some folks who are playing a game and they're some of our favorite players. And so we thought it'd also be fun for you and I to jump on and commentate. And I'm going to be leaning on you a little bit for this one because I think the last time I actually commentated on a game was maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. So it's gonna be interesting.
Okay.
But but yeah, I'm excited to do this with you and see what we find. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen so we can both see the same thing.
It looks like an all-star game. I think this is going to be fun. So
Yeah, yeah. So we have John Reed, who some of y'all would know from Blitz. We have Natalie, who's our Blitz host. We have Felipe, who I think he's also been on a Blitz a while ago. And I'm missing our fourth person. And we have Michael from Germany, who, if people remember, is one of our like best players and is like I think a
isn't he a
two-time world
two-time
champion.
champion at this point? Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
two-time
he's a
champion.
two-time world
Uh,
champion. So
oh,
it's gonna be fun.
it's going to be a pretty aggressive game. Both Felipe and Natalie have pretty aggressive styles. Uh, John and Michael, at least historically, have not been as aggressive, but
Mhm.
Michael is very good. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yeah.
Um, I actually haven't seen a few of these players play in a bit. Like I saw John play recently,
Hmm.
and I've seen Natalie play a few months ago, but I actually wasn't there for the championship. So I'm just excited to see how Michael's game has evolved, and same with Felipe as well.
For sure. I think it's like super interesting because I um play with Natalie a lot and I play with John some amount. But I think of
Hmm.
the four people here, I don't know that I've ever played with Michael or Felipe, and I've definitely played with Natalie and John. But it's really interesting to see also sort of how different people prioritize different things. So like I know like Natalie and I have a joke every time that because I've often been a forward player, and as you said yourself, she's also a very forward player, and so we can't have a running joke of who's going to get checkmated first
Yeah.
because of said forwardness. And she's great. She pretty much always wipes the board with most people.
Mm.
So it's interesting, and John
Absolutely.
tends to just be like so chilled out in the times that I've played with
It,
him.
it's interesting. Everybody is sticking. Well, actually, no. Felipe's move's quite interesting here, but like both Natalie and John
Hmm.
lined up the knight in front of the bishop, which
Hmm.
is a opening I like. I like the flexibility it affords, but I heard that it's a little dated now.
Really?
And so yeah, that's what I heard. But I think the Felipe structure is actually quite interesting with the two knights,
Hmm.
with the knight on the sort of left hand diagonal being protected by another knight. That's an interesting structure. Excited to see how that sort of holds as the game goes.
Hmm. What do you think of having structures like that where, so particularly, let me explain my question, right? So in Felipe's opening structure at the moment, his knight on E9 is currently, if I'm not mistaken, only protected by that other knight. Yes. Um,
Yes,
do
that's
you
right.
think that like at this stage of an opening, it's useful to have pieces be quote unquote doubly protected, or do you think that just limits how much you can actually move or do?
I mean, like at this point, I mean, quaternity culture is early enough that I don't think there's a definitive answer yet.
Hmm.
But like if you speak to people like Anael or Jorge, you know, they are very much in the school of thought where they believe that you should always have double protection, right?
Got it.
And Anael and Jorge are incredible players, among the best. So I mean, I think there's definitely that is a strong way to play.
Right.
On the other hand, I think it's a little bit riskier to do what Felipe is doing, but it allows you to keep your knight significantly more mobile, right?
Right.
If you're willing to, because the way Jorge, for example, plays is he uses the knights actually, like one of the knights is used entirely in like a defensive
Okay.
position. Um, so anyway, I all that said, I said a lot of words without I think saying a whole lot, but I think the double protection is the current strongest approach.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of creativity that like loosening that affords, and I suspect that we'll see people come up with styles that actually take advantage of the flexibility that you get when you don't have to have every piece be double protected, right?
Makes sense. Yeah. I think it's interesting
Um,
because I've definitely seen players go from the I definitely want to hear what you have to say, but I've just seen players go from like the double protection, and unless you're someone like an Anael or a Jorge who's like really, really good, somehow inevitably you end up hanging a piece and you just have to hope that like hanging, meaning actually that's not the right word. It's more like you take the chance and go out with the piece and move forward and actually make it mobile. And then it's interesting to see what happens. Um, with that.
yeah, I mean, I think with the double protection, your like level of awareness of the game needs to be really high, right? Because if you're relying on the fact that you're being double protected, um, then as you're moving pieces, you need to make sure that that continues to be true. Now the other factor here, oh wow, interesting move. That's a really interesting move from Felipe. He's being protected by the white
Natalie's
horse.
Yeah, the white horse.
from the bishop, but he's not. And like this is the kind of thing which, oh wow, nah, Michael went hard. Interesting, because Natalie has to lose the horse, right? Because it's he's got both the queen.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Oh,
Wow, they're going. Okay, so this is where the double protection actually matters.
right.
Where if you look at like Anael and Jorge, um, they are players who everybody knows is really good, which means they're going to come after them.
Yep.
On this board, Michael is the two-time champion.
Right.
Other folks are not champions, right? And so I think when you are playing in that position where everybody knows that, I think the double protection is quite well called for because you look at many of Iago's games, people are just going after him constantly, right? And in that kind of situation, being double protected becomes quite important. So again, I think the idea of whether you do that or not also depends upon your relative
Mhm.
stacking on the board. Like if you are quote unquote perceived to be the best player on the board
Right.
and people are going to be coming after you like they just did, like they're destroying Michael's early position, right? His
Truly.
defenses. And this is where if he had multiple things protecting the advanced central pawns,
Hmm.
potentially it might have been harder or for people to sort of do this, and they might have even been less likely to even try.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where like the way Quaternity, like I think judging Quaternity on just one game or like the style of play on just one game is tricky, right? Because um it's over a series of games that you can actually see what happens. So yeah, I mean this is pretty wild.
It really is. It's so interesting to me because even if you have the same four players play two different games, like you're not going to see the same game like play out ever. Like it's just never going to happen. And so I think it's really interesting because it's I think like my comment is specifically responding to what you just said about you see the pattern of those players and you see different aspects of their play come out, even if you try to mimic sort of the environment to be exactly the same every time, which I think is such a fascinating part of sort of the nature of Quaternity itself. Like I think it's pretty rare that a game can do that.
It's interesting because in conventional chess, which I've been following a decent amount because there was the World Cup that happened recently. They have
Mm-hmm.
this concept of like at what move does it become a completely new game?
Right.
And even in conventional chess, with as much play as that occurs with conventional chess, every game at the World Cup post some move, like
Mm-hmm.
move 30, move 40, ends up being a position that has never been recorded before, right?
Wow.
And now the complexity and number of possibilities in Quaternity is many orders of magnitude larger than in conventional chess. And so, I mean, we're going to be sitting, or whoever, the set of people who are going to be playing Quaternity 100 years from now are still going to be seeing positions that nobody has seen before because, yeah, it is just very, very large, the set of possibilities. So I think they're going to have that for a long time.
Nice. For sure.
All
I
right,
was like, I do
let's see.
this. I go on, sorry.
Go ahead.
I
Now I
was
just
just
wanted to
gonna
like
say
take a look at the game briefly just to see how the dust has settled post that.
the attack.
uh,
While you were saying that, I was just observing because I do this every time that the board looks really beautiful right now. Um,
so I mean, it looks like um, John's lost one of his central pawns, right?
mhm.
But he's managed to place his bishop in
To
support
protect
there,
the
which
other
has,
one. Yeah.
well, which makes that bishop um, ineffective in any other way than defense, but at least it holds his defensive structure.
Right.
So I think while sort of the momentum is swinging after that early attack,
Yeah.
John's probably just going to sort of see which way the wind blows, if you will,
Makes sense.
and then figure out.
I don't know if
Um,
this is my bias because I'm so used to her playstyle, but Natalie, for some reason, feels the most fortified to me at the moment. Is that also how you're seeing it?
let's take a look. So this is see, Natalie is in a decent position for
Mhm.
sure. Um, Look, Felipe has lost both his horses.
Yep.
So I think on paper, yeah, I would say that Natalie's position is the strongest because Felipe has lost both his horses. John has lost one of his central pawns,
Hmm.
and Michael is, of course, like completely open for now, right? So yeah, I agree. I think Natalie is currently in a very, yeah, in probably the strongest position at this moment in time. Can swing pretty quickly. See, the bishop at A11,
Hmm.
that is a structure which I like a lot personally.
Yeah.
Over the bishop position that Natalie has chosen.
Right.
Um, I think I understand why she's done that because with the horse, the green knight up on G6, like it's just blocked off that
Hmm.
the B1 diagonal. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the only piece that I would say. Like, I mean, it's the rook at B1 for Natalie also is, I think, an interesting position. Um, it doesn't feel particularly active for me in that particular position, so it'll be interesting to see how that piece evolves.
Makes sense. Yeah, I really like the bishop on A11 too. Though I do it more, I mean, it does both, but I definitely do it much more to like defend that little diagonal, the B12 and A11 diagonal.
Yeah.
Um,
So so here it's interesting, right? So like the green horse on F8. Yeah,
mhm.
okay. So that was the move I was taking a look at as well. The E10 square is now unprotected, and so that's a nice little hole for green to sit on. Now, if John had not lost his advanced central pawn, and
Mhm.
he could have had his bishop still at the K4 opening point, or like
Yep.
wherever the opening square were, and he pushes the J5 pawn, that knight would actually be protected and it could sit there for a really long time. Right now, if Felipe wants to kick the knight out, he can kick the knight out because there's no way for John to actually protect that horse. For John to actually that.
Right. But that horse is also like Felipe could take that horse right now.
Why did he not do it? I know he can, but like it's probably because he wants to keep
The defensive structure.
the the central pawn there. He doesn't want to open up the central line. Um, which is interesting. I would probably have just taken it to be honest, but
Hmm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. Um, because see, like John is not super strong on the central diagonal, right? So like, if Felipe had opened up that central diagonal, um, he could have just gone ahead and taken John's central pawn because
Yep.
he's only got the one bishop. If he trades bishops, then the queen is inside John's territory, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's got only one piece protecting the H5 pawn. So anyway, like I would probably have taken the knight, but I guess Felipe decided to play it a little bit safer for now. And if like they've gone after John, I'm sure that like Natalie has her horse on E4, who's in position to sort of jump in, and then like Michael, of course, the advantage of being completely open is that
Yep.
he can attack, which meant he could have probably at that point pushed his castle over to I9, threatening on the I line again, right? So line file. Filer
Huh.
rank. I forget the nomenclature.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting John to do that at all.
Well, but it's double protected. I mean, this is the problem. Like, I think that is like the it looked like the black rook on J9
Yeah.
was affording some protection, but like that square was defended by the bishop, the queen, and the red rook on
Yeah.
A9, and so yeah, I'm not sure why he went for that. I'm not sure why he went for that.
It's
Maybe
either
just he just wanted to open up Felipe, right?
to, sorry, go on.
You were saying that Natalie's jumped in. Yeah, I mean, I think that might have been the intention
Yeah.
because now that he's opened up Felipe, Natalie has the opportunity to go in and attack, and
Yep.
if she chooses to do that, he's got the diagonal.
Yeah.
Um, so I Felipe hasn't lost a rook yet. He's got both rooks. Oh, I see, I see. No, 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 it's not hanging. It's
It's not
on, there's a
hanging.
bishop on c11
Yeah.
that's protecting it. That's okay. Good thought, bro. I do think that that is a very so it's an unstable position to have those two rooks facing it. So Michael has closed it out, right? Because it is a very unstable position. And I mean,
Unstable.
there's
Why?
another. It can there can be a lot of action that happens there, right? Like look at the bishop line right now between green and red, with
Mhm.
the dark square bishop on k3,
Yep.
red's dark square bishop on c11. Like if Felipe forgets about something and
Hmm.
moves either the queen or the rook, he's
Right.
losing that bishop, right?
Totally.
And then like that is an unstable position to be in.
Gotcha.
Wait, what is happening now? Oh, I see. This is the move which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I
John
was.
can't take now, right? So I have to say this is actually a super fun game. Very high tempo, good crew of people. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
and
I'm
it's
glad that I
also
got to comment it.
it's also interesting because the three of them now, like that air, like red, black, and green are all so open. And
Yeah.
Natalie's kind of sitting, I was gonna say sitting pretty, but that's not a fair phrase, but she's just sitting very protected still. Um,
So so I don't think I would classify green as open yet, right? It depends on what happens here, but right now I would say green's position is relatively strong,
okay.
relative to the other two,
Mhm.
relative to red and black. But it could very like in 2 3 moves it could
Totally.
John could be end up being worse. Natalie's position is interesting, right? Because I think Natalie obviously has the most pieces. Defensively is the strongest, but most of her pieces are not in strong positions to do anything, right? And so
Right.
I think my guess is that Natalie has developed her opening game quite impressively and significantly over the last few months, but the middle game is a whole different sort of beast, right?
For sure.
And so I think she's probably still working out how to sort of get her pieces in position in order to get to the outcome she wants. Like, she's probably trying to figure out which of the three she wants to go after, because the moment she commits, then the others are going to come in, right? So
Mhm. So you bring up a really interesting point, and I'm curious, have you had the chance to see or play a lot of games recently? And I have a follow-up question to that.
I've played one or two, but not a lot, I would say.
I ask because I'm curious what your view is of how you've sort of seen different playstyles evolve. I know you mentioned it about these specific folks, but is that something that have you, because I know, for example, Madhu and I were chatting about this a few months ago, and that he was talking about how by going to the schools that you mentioned that I'd also love to come back to at some point, and sort of seeing the children play and seeing the kids play, and he was seeing them do all sorts of new openings and sort of take the game and sort of look at the game and approach the game in a way that he hasn't ever seen before. And so I was curious, as someone who sort of is both involved in the development, let's say, of the platform and stuff like that, and sort of, pushing the game forward, and as someone who's also like a very good player, even if you're, rusty, if you will, which you may not be, but I was sort of, I preemptively just accounted for that if you were going to bring that up yourself. Do you have any thoughts on sort of how you've seen players in general evolve, and how the game has sort of changed, if it how it has, and if it has, and that sort of thing?
And the game's definitely changed, right? Like, for example, I mean, I know I mentioned this earlier, but the double protection thing, like the double was not something that any player did prior to maybe a year and a half ago, a year ago.
Gotcha.
And the reason that started happening was because what happened to Michael early this game continues. Like, if you're a good player, that happens every game, right? And so you have to have some response to that. And so that's sort of how the culture of playing evolves. And so and so for sure, I think things have, like, there are always new things that are coming up, new ways in which you like try to attack. Like, for example, this thing that Michael is doing right now, I've never seen it. I don't know whether this is like common, but
Mm-hmm.
red is in a lot of danger here, right? Because the horse at h10
Mm-hmm.
is going to go into the pocket at f11.
Yep.
It's going to kick the bishop out. The moment it kicks the bishop out, the e11 square can be taken by the other horse,
Right.
forking the castle, forking castle, bishop, other castle, right, on c12,
Yep.
c10, and then opening up this line with the castle and the queen. And now probably the next thing Michael is going to do, bring the king back, move the other castle down from I12 to I9, and then move this. And this is like he's like throwing the kitchen sink at red right now. We'll see what happens, what the other players do. But if they catch on to that, John is in a very strong position here because John is also bearing down on D9, right? And
Right.
so for example, like a double knight attack on the right
Yep.
is interesting. Okay, so it looks like actually maybe okay, I see what's happened here. So it looks like maybe Michael is actually going to try to switch the momentum across because the fact that John is open to attack red means that Felipe can also swing in and attack John at any point in time. So we're gonna have to see which way this evolves. But this is like going in with two horses, for example, is not a like not many people have gotten to the point where they're able to attack with two horses. Right?
Gotcha.
It's not a common thing that you see. So that I think is like very interesting. Um, Perhaps Michael has been doing this a bunch already, by the way. It's possible. I have not actually seen Michael play in a while, and he's clearly won twice. So, also, just a quick note on time. I think the other reason Michael might be thinking about switching the momentum is because John is actually significantly lower on time than the other players. And so when you see something like that, then you could sort of project that John is more likely to make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
and so you want to be in position to capitalize on that, right?
Makes sense.
Um, Interesting. So what did Natalie just do? Move the bishop back. Okay, yeah. So Natalie that's a waiting move from Natalie, right?
Yeah.
B9 to B11.
It is interesting because it seems to me, and you should definitely correct me if you see something different, that she's also maybe almost trying to use both her knights or keep them ready for red because there's nothing really, none of her other pieces are open enough to be able to get there on time, no?
Yeah, so I mean, I think she's the B7 knight is nice, right? It's situated in a nice pocket, but the thing is, any of those kinds of positions, like now Michael is retracted, of course, but the reason that was interesting was because you can capitalize on that knight by
Mhm.
making it support an additional attack, right? And so you actually need to get your other pieces in play in
Right.
order to do that. And right now, both the A4 rook and the B1 rook are not in position to be able to join any attack. And so what she really needs to do here is to like find a way to bring those into play. And the moment she brings those into play, the knights are mobile, and the knights can sort of either start or support an
Right.
attack where she's bringing in other pieces, right? So I
Yeah.
think that what she's running into here is that some of her other pieces are a little stuck, and she needs to reorganize her structure,
Hmm.
especially given how open everybody else is. Because given everybody else is so open because defenses are destroyed, um, they're in a position where they can. Okay, well, so this she's exactly figured that out now, right?
Yeah, that's what I
So
was wondering.
she's opened up the B column by taking the pawn.
Yep.
She's going to take another pawn now. But if she takes like here, I would probably push the pawn. I would not take because if you take the pawn on b8, you're closing it up again,
Right.
right? And right now she can just double up her rooks and just go straight into Felipe's house.
Huh.
But she did take it, right? So now it's closed again,
Yeah, makes
which is
sense.
fine. It's not. I mean, it's not a bad move. It's just it's more complicated for her to attack
Right. It's
on that
interesting
axis
too,
now.
because I was wondering if that's what she was. Oh, oh, Michael snuck in there. I did not catch that happening at all.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think. Oh
Ouch.
no, she dropped the queen.
Ouch. Oof.
That's tough. That's very
Oh,
tough.
man.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's why Michael took it because he assumed, but like, so like, what an interesting move from Natalie there would have been to like move the
Totally.
queen out of the way and then let
And
potentially
then
just let Felipe come in.
Right.
But I mean, listen, I don't think all is lost for Natalie at all here. Right? She's
Agreed.
still got two castles.
Yeah.
Um, I think she can still cause a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was unfortunate.
So I have a question. So she has the chance to actually put red in check starting now. Is that what you would do if you were in her position?
With what? With
With the
the
bishop?
knight?
No, with the bishop.
Oh, interesting. So putting red in check, I need to look. Putting red in check, I'm not sure what it does yet, right? I'm trying to. Wait, what did Felipe do?
So that rook is protected by the pawn. And I think he's trying to block the bishop. He might have seen the same thing, maybe.
Yeah, could be, but I mean, if you move right after, it's like, um, Natalie might just trade the bishop for the rook.
Hmm.
Like because she's got both the horse and the bishop, right? Or he might trade the
Yeah.
yeah. Interesting. What did Natalie do before a6 to a7? Oh, protecting the yeah.
Pawn, yeah.
I would have taken the rook with the knight there.
Huh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would have been good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that is coming, but then yeah, that is coming. But man, this is tough, right? Because Natalie is the dark square bishop from black. The horse is hanging, and like Felipe can deliver a discover check on the white on the white king too here.
Okay, can you
Super
explain what a
interesting.
discovered check is for people who may not know?
Well, so this is exactly what happened, right? So the dark square bishop took the white horse
Mm-hmm.
on f6, which was hanging, and now Felipe can move his rook out of the way, thereby putting the. No, now he's in check. That's true. That's true. But if he were not in check, uh, he could he could move. Well, he can block if he wanted to, right? I mean, it's not a smart move, but he could do that
Hmm.
and put the white king in check. Man, this is a wild position. This is truly a wild position.
Wow. It's also such a testament to I think to all of these players and their skill that we're 172 moves in and we still have all four players on the board in such an interesting position.
I think that yeah, I think the interestingness of the position is for sure. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Um, yeah, she pushed. Okay,
Yes.
that I like that move. I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
But now she needs to figure out how to get her stuff in play. Yeah, see,
Oof.
Michael's cleaning house, man. This is
Yeah,
why he's the
true.
back-to-back champ. And now Natalie is in check. So
Yeah. I think such a large part of being a champion is not just like knowing the strategies and knowing the tactics and like but it's also like having a clear head for a game because I feel like if I'd been in Michael's position and I have been I
in the
would sort
beginning,
of just
like
feel the
where
pressure
people were
first.
just coming after him. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. He weathered
So,
the storm, fortified the position, and then used the fact that he had much more mobile pieces to his advantage,
yeah.
basically, right? So, um, no, it's great play. It's absolutely great play. And was willing to sack a knight in order to like create the opening, right? And
Yeah.
now Natalie, who was looking like a, as you said, fortified position. She does. She
Yeah.
does. But I think that I don't know whether she's gonna see it. That would be a very nice little fork.
Yep.
Little payback after red gobbled her queen. It's actually completely safe. I hope she sees it. I hope she sees it. But she's probably going to be pretty stressed about Michael's position against her. So
Yeah.
if she does that though, like if she puts Felipe in check right now, Felipe is in bad shape because John is going to. Oh, she did it. She did it.
She
Amazing.
sees it. Nice.
Let's go, Nat. Because John is going to take the bishop um, on c10.
Right. Wonder what Michael will do. Because I wondered if he would let her, if that makes sense. Because when you said she might be stressed about Michael's position against her.
Well, Michael can't do anything immediately, which is why she went for it, right? He can't put her in check or anything like that.
Right.
So uh, I think the more likely thing that Michael might do is he might capture the B8 pawn,
Mm.
the white pawn. That would be an
Yep.
interesting move if he does that.
That's what
It's because
I've been
it's
looking at that.
hanging. Yeah, he did it right.
I've been looking at that for
So
a second and wondering when he would do that. Why do you
and
think
that's
he would do that
interesting.
now instead of
Why?
before?
Well, it's because it allows him to either go into red because he has no way to directly go into red, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now if John takes the bishop and Nat takes the queen,
Yeah.
if John takes the bishop, Nat takes the queen. It's not checkmate, but it's darn close to checkmate.
Yeah.
If yeah, it's getting out there. It's like he stays in play and he has no other piece that is mobile enough to get there. And at the same time, given he's got pieces bearing down on Nat, he can switch the attack down into Nat too if it
Yeah.
looks like Felipe actually is going to weather the storm. So I think it's a fantastic move from Michael's point of view.
Hmm. Very cool. And I think it like also speaks to knowing when the right moment for a certain move is because he's had that move. I've been watching the possibility for that move for at least I think since like 160 or 162. I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and check. But it's been a minute. And I was wondering when he was going to do that and if he was going to choose to do it. So
I mean, yeah, I think it would have been a fine move at any point, but I think it's a great move right now because Red is under so much pressure.
right.
Um, and it allows him the optionality on both sides. I mean, if Michael had other ways to get into Red, for example,
Mm-hmm.
this would be fine, but like not the added benefit of this particular move comes from the fact that that's his only way to get into Red. Outside of, I mean, he can try to move his horse in, but there's no like real nice way to do
Yeah,
that.
totally.
Interesting. Well, Natalie is now low on time. Why is she not just taking the queen? Just take the queen. Oh
I think
no.
she's
What is this?
huh,
She's attacking the castle. That's what she's doing.
yeah. Why is she
Huh.
attacking? I wonder if she's trying to stall his checkmate or if she
But
sees a possible.
but Michael doesn't have a checkmate though.
Is she seeing something that we aren't?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably it's the um. I mean, yeah, I think she might have been worried that Michael will just bulldoze into her. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I do
Um,
know that she's very conscious of that while playing. Um,
so Felipe has this E2 check now. Well, no longer because John moved. Um,
E2 check. How?
He no longer has it. With the queen, he could have come down and
Oh,
come down
gotcha.
to that when the pawn was still there.
Right.
That no longer exists. This was a nice move by Nat because it takes John's pawn. It protects e1 from the
Yep.
castle where the file just opened up. So that was a nice little defensive move there. Yeah, so I see c9 check to Felipe coming up soon.
See.
But like Michael is getting ready to get in mating
Ooh.
position at the same time. And what did John do? John went for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So John went for it. If Nat does c9 check,
Mm-hmm.
John will not let Felipe's queen go.
Yep.
Interesting position. I wonder why John actually went for that, because like if Nat, yeah, okay, Nat did it, so that's probably why he was. If Nat didn't do that though, I think John would have traded bishops
Mm-hmm.
in a position that you know I think right now I would say John is the only person who can threaten Michael
Right.
right now, and so yeah, it would have put him in a tricky position if Natalie had not followed through on that attack.
Hmm. Why are you so sure that John will take the queen?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess I've never seen John give up a queen before, but maybe he will. Maybe he will.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
see, this is like
Oh. Ooh,
um,
interesting.
strong move. That's a very strong move. The only problem is that I think she might have given the checkmate away to John. Yeah, it's checkmate to John.
And he loses.
Queen
No?
to queen to b11. Yeah, but he gets
Yeah.
to checkmate. So I don't know. It depends on how he's playing. But queen to b11 is checkmate. So
I think he'll take it, is my guess.
um,
I feel like that's always another interesting conversation. It's like if you get mate, but you lose your queen, so it's an expensive mate. Would you?
Michael blocked it. Michael blocked it. Michael blocked it. Let's see if Natalie is going to take Michael's. But see, Michael has to give up a freaking castle in
Yeah.
order to block the mate. Oh no, she didn't. She didn't take it. Wow, what is happening here? I'm surprised she didn't take it because Michael's the strongest player on the board. So I mean, despite the fact that John had that checkmate opportunity. I wonder if that defense is doing anything. Is that knight doing anything interesting there? Okay. And now what is Michael gonna do with the? Michael can put. Oh, Michael can't do that. But there's rook to a8 check if the green bishop wasn't there, um, which would put Natalie in all sorts of trouble. Okay, so it's keeping it.
Oh.
Yeah, this is now John trying to. I think he's yeah, it's mate. If she chooses to do that, it's mate. But the tricky thing for Michael right now is if somebody like the green is attacking the his castle on e8, right? So if Natalie does dog square bishop to c3 and attacks the queen, and the queen has to move off the file, then either she loses the bishop or she loses Michael loses the bishop or Michael loses the castle, as she did it. So now this is like not a nice position for Michael, because Michael is going to drop one of the two pieces.
Mm.
Of course, Felipe may play spoil sport, but yeah, this is like, what is happening here? Michael just dropped his queen. If Natalie does not take the queen, like, come on.
Yep.
Oh, she took it. Great. Great. But that was like a very uncomfortable position for Michael. I think he should have retracted his castle earlier.
Yep.
Given he saved it, because in the effort to try to save that castle, now he's lost the queen, right? So,
right. Oof.
Interesting, man. The swings are real.
Truly. It's also funny because John feels like Green feels like the strongest player on the board right now.
Green is the strongest. I think he's definitely the only person with the queen.
Yeah.
He's definitely the strongest player on the board. The question is, he's got only 56 seconds though, so we're gonna have to see whether he can capitalize. But okay, interesting. All right. Wow. Why did he do that?
Huh.
Why did he not take with the castle?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I wonder if maybe he wanted to open
a line for the queen to go.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And Natalie has obliged by letting him put her in check.
It really feels like everyone's just going for everyone at the moment.
The momentum swings are unreal in this game.
Yeah,
it's unreal. Like I mean, like Felipe has survived thanks to Michael's largesse. I don't know whether Michael intended to drop the queen. I have a feeling he missed the fact that Natalie moved the bishop into the queen line.
I'd agree with that.
But now John is in a fantastic position, and I think he needs to. Yeah, see, he should have just taken it with the castle. Oh, maybe he wanted to keep the castle on this E line to go into Natalie. Maybe that was it, and he doesn't want to move the castle off of that. But right now, his dark square bishop is in trouble. So,
right. Also, small request to slow down what you're saying, and have it a little more loudly so I can follow.
Be louder. Is that better?
Be louder and a little slower.
Yeah, the slow part, I totally get. I speak very quickly when I'm excited, so that makes sense. The loudness, though, hopefully I can calibrate and do better on immediately.
It was just that last thing that you got really excited about, and I was like, "You're saying cool things, and I'm not catching that."
Yeah, I'm sorry. So let's see. There's a lot happening right now. So red is in check. There's two rooks bearing down on J4 from white. There's also the red's rook, which is bearing down on.
Yep.
I wonder whether John is just going to try to checkmate Felipe, and
thinking too.
Like if he moves the bishop to A12, the next move is checkmate on Felipe and say that, hey, he's not going to survive longer. I don't know. Nice.
Yeah, she took it.
Rook takes bishop would not have been mate, Madhu, because if once rook takes bishop, that bishop, yes. I think John could have prevented that from happening.
By doing what?
What did John play? He moved his rook, right? If he moved his bishop down to A10.
So I moved.
What happened? Yeah.
I just moved it back. Sorry.
Oh, if he moves the bishop down to A10, it would not be mate.
Oh.
Right. I mean, he'd be sacking the bishop, but it's like basically the same stunt Michael pulled.
Oh, but then what about Natalie's bishop on b4?
What about it?
Like, sorry, not bishop. Natalie's rook on b4. Isn't that?
Yeah, but where would you put it though?
Well, wouldn't
For
it,
the
if
checkmate.
he'd still taken the bishop, wouldn't it still have been mate because he can't? Yeah,
Still
because
taking the bishop?
yeah. So if
No,
so, I'm
I
just
don't
gonna
think so. If you go
go
back,
back here. Let's say let's say John had moved this down, his green bishop.
no. He moves it to a10, a10.
A10. Oh, sorry. Yeah, never mind.
So
Gotcha.
anyway, but good on Nat coming through
Mhm.
with the. I mean, she's got 2 points. She's gonna end up at least as, if it were a tournament, she would end up with both the first checkmate plus 2 points.
Yep.
So let's see if she's able to capitalize on this and get one more. I think it's going to be tricky because the hordes are descending right now on her, but because she's lost a castle already,
Yep.
right? So, but I think the question is going to be whether Michael can pull out a mate here, because if Michael is not able to pull out a mate, John has 24 seconds. Maybe Michael can survive on time, but like John, I think this is
Best
mate.
in the best
No,
position.
if it's black, it's black. Yeah, I think this is
Oh,
mate. That's what I thought. This is mate.
nice.
Uh, incredible work. Incredible work by Michael pulling out the clutch mate. Now it's an interesting game because Michael has. Okay, no, Michael should win this. He's got 3 rooks. It's 3 rooks against a rook and a queen.
And a bishop.
If
Two
you take
bishops.
it's 2 bishops, he's got a bishop and a knight. So
True.
it's not so obvious, but I think Michael should win this.
I also like Michael just has more time, and I feel like at 24 seconds.
Totally agree. Totally agree. It's a dramatic difference. Like if the only thing is, it's kind of unfortunate. Michael doesn't have any passed pawns. Like all his pawns are blocked.
Yeah.
Like all the white pawns are blocked by the black pawns. The other 2 white pawns are blocked as well. And then he's only
Yeah.
got this like e1 pawn, but that's like not likely to pass. So, but having said that, I think that he can put. Yeah, it's. If he had any passed pawns, he would be the clear winner. But I think
Mhm.
with good play, I think he's gonna win this even if time were not a constraint. And as you pointed out, time is a constraint.
Is a
But this is
constraint.
where you're gonna see it. Michael's gonna come out with 2 points after getting hammered at the beginning, and was in
Wow.
pretty close contention to even getting the first mate. So, um, brilliant move. John just lost his queen. Well, not lost his queen. He can block it with a bishop. Yeah. But I wonder.
You wonder?
I'm surprised. I would have just taken the other bishop with the other rook. So I would have done, yeah, that's what I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's done now. Yeah, now John has lost the other, and also John should have brought his other rook back. John should have taken the black rook with
Yep.
b4, with the
Yeah.
b4 rook, not with the queen. Um, but yeah, this becomes a pretty technical position. So I'm curious to see how Michael does. So far, he has smashed it, so I expect him to come out pretty strong. But oh no, oh no, John screwed up there. He should never have had the queen and the king in one line. So now he's going to trade the queen for a castle. So now the game is truly done, I think.
Mm.
Because John has Michael has a knight and a bishop over
Mhm.
that, right? And so once he's able to engage those, I think it's going to be very difficult. Yeah, he should bring the bishop out, ideally. Oh wow, interesting move. Why did he do that? See, Michael's actually in, yeah, it's a really tricky position because see, if they trade rooks, it is impossible to checkmate with just a bishop and a knight. And so it's actually now suddenly a very complicated position. It's actually really complicated now because he traded that pawn, as mother pointed out. And he's lost the other pawn now. Now, John should not touch any of the other pawns because he can't do anything with those. And I don't know, man. I'm taking John in this position right now if John had more time because John has the H2 pass pawn.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, the pawns on K7 and L6 are passed, but they're going to be complicated to queen. Oh no. This is because of time. But like John just dropped his castle because of time. Now Michael should win.
Yeah.
So, he didn't realize that the horse was protecting it, I think. So what a game. This was exhilarating. I've never seen this before, where he has so many pawns on the board, but they're all useless because they're all blocked up.
Oh, go John. Oof.
He's still surviving. He's still surviving, man.
You gotta give it to him. I think he's. Yep. All right.
He's gaining some time back. I don't know. I mean, this we have to see whether Michael knows how to do this checkmate.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a guaranteed mate, more or less, at this point. Once, right? But yeah, now he should take the pawn. Yeah, now he brings the rook down onto the K file. Yeah, and then walk the king up, and then
Oof.
That's okay. He's gonna have to move back now, right? And then you walk the king up again. Okay, Michael knows how to do this. So yeah, this game will end in like 3 moves. So move the rook up, put him in check. He has to move to K2, move the king up. Yeah, he has to move back, and then now you just walk the king back all the way until you're at the corner, and there it's checkmate. Move the king up. I guess he has to be careful not to stalemate it.
Yep.
That could happen here. He has to be careful about that.
And a stalemate is when green has no legal moves.
That's right. And then he could escape with the draw, but I guess did John lost by time. Okay.
Which is fair.
Fair enough. What an incredible game.
That was an incredible game.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you for inviting me. This was so much fun. Yeah.
I'm glad you had fun. I had a lot of fun learning from you. Was there anything that you wanted to look over?
I don't know. I feel like the things that stood out to me I went over, but if there are any points that you want to look at, we can. I feel like I pointed out the things that were standing out to me at the time, but yeah, it's up to you.
Sense. Cool. I'm gonna stop sharing now. That was lovely. Thank you for joining me on that. I lost. Gosh, Zoom keeps changing what it's doing, and then I never know where to find buttons. It was so funny because I had a whole list of questions that I wanted to ask you about Quaternity as well, and then we got so into the game that it just really there was no.
It's all on the board. It is all on the board. So
it is all on the board indeed. But I will say, a couple of quick pitches for anyone who's watching is that if you liked what you saw and you liked what you heard and you want to be able to do that for yourself, there are very easy ways to do so. The primary one of which is you can find us on social media and find play.quaternity.com, which is where that game was being played, and start playing with the community. But you can also start playing in person. We have a bunch of cities all over the world where there's people who actually get together and play in person in different bars and in parks and in a lot of public places, and you can go and join them and be a part of that. So I know that we have people in London, in Paris, I want to say it's Berlin, or Munich, one of the two, in Germany. Which incidentally, you can go play with Michael if that's what you want. So like, that's I don't know. I feel like if anything is a motivator, that should be. And yeah, and the game is spreading fast because it is what you saw. It is one of the most fun things that I think that it honestly exists in the world right now, which is very, very exciting. And of course, it's also going to different schools, and going to different, and we have the school program that we're developing that Shreyas was talking about. So it's moving and it's gaining momentum. You know what? I'd be interested to see if the Quaternity's growth maintains the same momentum that this game maintained. Because that was insane. That was 300 moves, but it felt like 15 minutes because
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. And that's a tough act to follow, but no, I hope so. I mean, I think things are moving. So,
yeah. And a quick pitch for a very special live that we're going to be having soon, because we at Quaternity like celebrating. We like celebrations, and we like when we get to do that with our families. If it wasn't obvious that I make a big deal of the fact that Shreyas is my brother every time he comes on here, Quaternity is a family game, and it is for families, and you can enjoy it like that. And if y'all have been tuning in for the last couple of weeks, you'll notice that we've had a lot of that going around. We've had a lot of family love going around. Last week we had the Charchets from France. I hope I said that correctly. We had Alex and Olympia, I feel like is like a mini Shreyas in the making on the board, or maybe Shreyas is a older Olympia. I don't know how that works, but they're very similar to me. And of course we have Shreyas and I now. And when you come back for our Halloween live, which is on the 28th of this month, you'll see more of that vibe, and it's going to be incredible. And you're going to see Shreyas and me again. So I've already convinced him to come back, and Shreyas is going to be in costume. So I feel like that's enough reason to be at this live, if for nothing else. And yeah, when it comes to our YouTube, we're in 5 different native languages, and we have a lot going on our social media. So you should come be friends with us and join us, because I don't know, I think our social media is very fun, and we're a good complement to what you saw on the board today. So I'm very excited about all of, and thank you for joining me, Shreyas. This was easily one of the most fun lives that I've done in a very, very long time. With due love to everybody else I've done lives with, of course. Full respect. Please don't come after me.
Well, I'm glad to be of service. This was great. Thank you.
But yeah, so yeah. Thank you all for joining, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Awesome.